Okay, maybe that's better. Too many buttons. Too many buttons. Okay, as you can see, we're not in a dungeon. The dungeon's cold and wet tonight, and I just sat up here at the table with my back to the kitchen. It's a little different. I don't think Linda's going to let me do this very often, so I'll enjoy it tonight, and then I'll pack things up, take them back out to the dungeon after we're done. It's just something different, warm and toasty. Hopefully you got sound now. I had that one muted so it didn't make any noise while I was playing the Christmas music. Well, I'm kind of off my feed here since I was not planning on carrying the load. That's what I get. That's what I get for thinking. Let me see here. Got a little change. You notice it's not a full screen picture tonight. So I'm continuing the saga on have we become a nation of just good enough, half doing things. That'll work until we get around to doing it again. We see it everywhere. It happens all the time. You see dead critters with a white line painted over them in the road. Not my job to get out and scrape that out of the road. We just see so many things. And I posted some pictures on the radio station page that illustrated it very well. It showed so much of plumbers that cut corners, carpenters that cut corners. Do you really want somebody that's cutting corners on everything? You know, if we're raising the generation of corner cutters, what are we going to get? I mean, you're going to half do a job. You want them to half mow your yard or just mow the front and leave the back because nobody can see that anyway. That's what we're up against now. That's the generation. Well, I can't say that. It's not one generation. It's just the way we do things. It's good enough. I was sitting up tonight, sitting up in here this afternoon, and I went out and grabbed my old mix board and a different mic and was going to use the built-in webcam. And I'm sitting here looking at that and going, I'm sitting here and I'm going to be talking about us half doing things. Went back out and got my good sound card, a good mic, a different webcam. I didn't think I could sit here and talk about halfway doing things when I was half doing something myself. It just didn't work for me. I hope everybody's ready for Christmas. I should do a little playing around here. Let's see what we've got. Got a new year coming. We've got Christmas coming. It's just there. We're festive now. And at least we don't have snow. Snow sucks. Haven't shoveled snow in 3 years. Have not missed it. It sure is pretty when somebody posts a picture of it. It's even prettier when I know I don't have to go out and play in it. It's just not my thing. So I didn't expect a lot of people to show up tonight, and they're not. I've gotten a habit of doing this on Friday, and I'm probably going to do it next Friday. We might adjust schedule or something. I really got nothing to announce, nothing going on. It's a holiday. People are going to spend time with their family, which is good. That's what we want. We want you to spend time with your family. If you can. I'm about 1,200 miles from many of mine, so I'm not going to be spending much time with them. But it's good if you can do it. I got Linda over here. She's not going to come get on camera. Tried to talk her into it. She wasn't in the mood. I don't think she's ever going to be in the mood. I did talk her into an appointment for this weekend so I can get my hair cut. What's left of it. It's getting to the point where I have to comb it. And I haven't had to do that for about 4 years now. So I'm out of habit. Used to have it trained. It went where I told it to. I've had it cut short for so long now it's gone feral on me. It no longer wants to go where I want it to. So we're hanging out, waiting to see if anybody's going to join us. Doesn't look like it. So you stuck with me. We got one more day with the radio station playing all Christmas all the time. And then it's going to go back to oldies. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I may mix things up a little bit. I've got 54 to 74. And I might add a decade at a time on that. Might let it run the 50s for a few days and then adds the 60s in. Oh, special guest is here. I'm going to bring her in, whether she's ready or not. There you are. Is your mic on?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
All right.
I've been waiting for you, so I didn't have to talk.
Oh, sorry. I was just finishing up watching an episode of Yellowstone. So, yeah.
I'm caught up on that
Okay.
until
I'm not.
tomorrow.
Okay. I'm not. So I'm on season 3. I'm a little bit behind, but that's okay.
So I won't
Sometimes
tell you that they're all dead.
okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't tell me that. And sometimes I've caught up. Just to make it good enough, Dale.
Just to make it good enough.
Good enough. That's right.
We're a nation of half-assers.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
And
You know
it
what?
shows.
That's right. You know what? Half-ass is better than no ass, right?
Not always.
Okay. Well, you have a point. Yeah. 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 But that was my moment of sarcasm in there.
Yeah, I got it.
You catch on quick because I go all the way when it comes to sarcasm.
Yeah. Ria's with us tonight.
Hi, Ria. How are you?
Can you see the chat?
Let's see here.
Should be on the right of your
I was
screen.
going to tell Ria that her. Hi there. How are you? Happy holidays. Yes, and you do have a few imposter vehicles in the area. See, a couple of years ago, I got caught behind I call them smart cars, the little cars,
Mhm.
and the bumper sticker said, "I do the speed limit," and I just
That's Ria.
rolled my eyes. No, there's another one. There's a couple of them. So I saw another imposter today. Another imposter. So
There,
it wasn't Rhea though. It was a man that was
everybody
driving.
wants to be Rhea.
Well, nobody can be Rhea because there's only one Rhea.
Yeah. I added Christmas lights tonight. You see that?
I see that. That's looking mighty, fancy schmancy.
Yeah. You realize you've got full control of this mess.
Don't tell me that.
You can change the banners. You can change the
Oh,
brand.
I feel like the almighty powerful over here.
You can change layouts. Look at that.
Nice.
Look, see?
Ooh, look at that.
We can see the desert
Pretty.
behind us.
Yes.
We can do that. Look at this. I can make you. You're the
Oh.
important one.
Really, I'm not.
But-
I'm not.
But this particular one right now is new. It up until today, if you did this, it filled the screen. You couldn't see the background.
Oh wow. Okay, so now
And
they've
now
made it all
this
nice.
is now
Huh?
an option.
Hey, listen. It sounds like it's getting kind of fancy over here.
There we are. Put me back over here where I'm used to being.
All right.
But you can literally drag and drop. See, I can just put my mouse on you and pull you over and drop you there.
Wow. Or I could do that, right?
Yeah. You
Okay.
you got full control.
Oh. You're living dangerous, Dale. I don't know.
We're stopped.
Yeah.
Rhea says we're stopped.
Yep. Living on the edge.
Are you not getting the video, Rhea? There's about a 7-second delay from when we say something.
Latency.
It's going from here to StreamYard and then back out to Facebook.
It's bouncing.
Yeah.
Boing, boing, boing. All right. So what's tonight's topic? You gave me some, inspirational photos that just made me feel.
That's the topic.
Yeah.
And I figured,
Have we become a nation of good enough? Well, I'd say that's a pretty darn good topic.
I figured that your attitude, just with those photos, you'd be ready to roll.
Well, of course I'm ready to roll. So, there's two ways that you can look at this. Have we become a nation of good enough? Sometimes we wait to the point where we have to perfect something, like the whole thing has to be ready to go. Like you make like the Rolls Royce of whatever your product or service is. And everybody's been waiting and waiting for it to come out, and then you release the Rolls Royce. When in reality, maybe the Ford Escort would have been okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one way of looking at it. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the direction we're going in is how much sloppiness are we willing to put up with, and lack of service, and the destandardization of quality.
We saw it
where I
in
think we're going.
automobiles a few years back.
Oh yes, I think
Where
we're
they
seeing a
got-
lot of things right now.
The hoods were set on crooked. The trunks were crooked. They rattled new from the factory.
Yeah.
And I actually knew a guy that worked for GM, Chevrolet division. He made Cadillacs.
Mm.
And his last day at work, he took a pocket full of marbles and dropped them in the rear fender well before they closed it up. So every time you made a tight corner,
It rattled.
it rattled big time.
Yeah.
If you weren't turning fast and hard, they just sat there. Of course, I also knew a guy that went around and dropped ping pong balls in gas tanks.
Does that really mess things up?
Well, other than the fact ping pong balls don't hold up well in gasoline, if you knew
Figured.
you'd know somebody that always runs on that bottom quarter of the tank.
Oh, I don't know anybody like that.
And this was when fuel pumps were outside the tank.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be going down the road and the fuel pump had suction in the gas.
Yeah, that could really mess things up,
Suck that ping pong ball down,
and you're done.
you're out of gas.
Mm-hmm.
until the pressure bleeds off.
Mm-hmm.
So you stop, you're out of gas. While you're waiting for somebody to show up, the pressure releases, the ping pong ball floats, and you're good to go again.
Oh, that would be scary.
That was an evil thing to do.
Yeah, that sounds like mischief to me. That sounds like some really bad mischief.
But with what we're seeing so much of, and you see carpenters do it, you see plumbers do it,
Funny you mentioned that. Yes.
and I don't know if you saw that one picture where they had the electrical outlet right next to an outdoor faucet.
That was just rocket science. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did see that one. Yeah, I did
So
see one. Yeah, I'm part of an online group on Facebook. It's I think it's an architectural shaming group, and it's absolutely brilliant. These are real homes that are architectural nightmares.
there is some really ugly stuff out there.
There's some hideous stuff out there. I mean,
And
I'm not talking about the decor. I'm talking about the actual like building.
I watch one gal, she's a realtor, and she posts the things she finds,
Mm-hmm.
like kitchen vents that go to the attic but don't go out. So any smoke and grease that's pulling up, it's just blowing into your attic. So then there's just, that's better than the bathroom vent going up and stopping in the attic. But
Yep. Well, I'll share a little story with you. We have this house going up next door to us right now. For $310,000, you could have no backyard. Congratulations. There are building codes in our county, in Pinal County, and this job site has been shut down more than once. I know the company building it. I know who's doing it. I'm not going to blast them on there. It's Christmas Eve, although they deserve it. But you have to be at least finished 8 feet away from the wall, okay, or the line of another property. What they did is on this house, this $310,000 house, that's 310, okay? The one corner is nice and sharp. The other one, they rounded it off to try and escape the under the 8-foot rule. So
Yeah.
you've got the front of your house, okay? One has a real corner, the other one has a fake corner. Here's the problem though. Once they put all of their stucco, plaster, whatever the heck on, stucco, I'm guessing, it's going to be under the 8-foot rule. So you know what's going to happen.
they have to move it. They have to tear it down.
Boy, those costs are going up quick. See, if you had thought about it to begin with and realized that, A, this really wasn't the right property for that house, that would have been,
Or they'll
smart.
request a variance.
Mm-hmm.
And what's sad is they might get it.
They might, but it won't be the end of things. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, it's just
It won't be the end.
such a mess.
It's a mess. So what scares me is the fact that somebody out there actually could think that they're escaping the city, so to speak, and buying their nice little country house for $310,000, no backyard, no side yards. And the house isn't even like aligned with the way the yard's awkward. It kind of comes like, this. The house is like crooked. I can't describe it. Like if I were to fly, an aerial, if I were to do like, just do a drone or something over it, which is probably not a bad idea. The snapshot you would get of this thing, it's crooked. It's kind of like two puzzle pieces not fitting together.
It's not squared with a lot.
It is definitely not squared. It's not aligned properly. I mean, our house to a T is aligned with our property, including our pool. It's aligned with the property. We're on a third of an acre. And I'm paying no 310 for that. But that market, I think I think that we're in for it with the market.
Well, I don't think the market's going to drop right away.
No.
I think they are going to raise interest rates.
Yeah.
That'll help slow some of the inflation, but it won't stop it because inflation's all over. I mean, And some of it's
The
intentional.
worst it's been in. Oh yeah, it's intentional. It's the worst it's been in 39 years.
So, and the sad part is I'm old enough to remember.
I can, well, I can remember enough. I'll put it to you that way. I just
Yeah.
I remember that time frame, and I remember my parents complaining about it. Put it to you that way. But
I remember $4 gas, but I also remember 50-cent gas that you couldn't get.
I
And we thought
remember
50 cents was
38-cent
horrible.
gas. Yes.
You know,
Remember when
odd
it hit
and-
$1? That was
Yeah.
mortifying.
But odd and even days, if they didn't run out, they couldn't get supplies. So, and
So,
now
so I'm just going to throw out a basic question here. I mean, here's the thing. 2/3 of all people polled, okay, has to do with quality, were willing to pay more for quality for an item. All right. So people were willing to pay more. People are in general are willing to pay more if they know they're getting quality. So now we're out there paying all of these prices with lower quality. Why are we accepting it?
made in China.
Again, why are we accepting it? Has nothing to do with the people of China, okay? This has to do with their commerce and their government, and as you know,
We're starting to see those scales tip.
hope so.
Very little. We haven't made computer chips in this country 20 years.
Yep.
And now they're building chip plants.
Yeah, finally. It's about
I went
time.
through in the 90s, all the chips, memory chips, were made in 2 places, in 2 different towns in Taiwan. And the story was one of them flooded. So only one plant was producing, prices went up. They got the flooded one working. The other one had a fire. And this just went back and forth. You know, this one had this problem. This one had that problem.
No contingency planning.
Well,
no backup plans.
Come to
no
find out,
what-ifs.
it was all fake.
Of course it was.
It was collusion,
Of course it was.
and there was lawsuits. I was part of a class action suit. Memory cost more per ounce than gold did at the time.
Isn't that crazy?
You couldn't bid a new computer build because prices change 4 times a day.
Wow.
So if somebody called and said, build me such and such computer with this much memory on it, I can tell you what it'd be if you buy it now.
Right.
But if you're going to set on it for 10 days, I got to rebid. And these weren't always individual. Some of this was corporate builds. And you know how that is. They're not going to commit to anything until they go to a board meeting and get budget approval. And they just couldn't figure out why I couldn't give them a bid.
You know, it's kind of interesting. Since the last, and I don't call it a recession, I call it a depression, because it was in 2008. We've watched customer service and quality take a dive, and people just put up with it. They can scream all they want, but nothing ever gets done. You know?
It's a recession when it's your neighbor that's hit.
Yeah.
It's a depression when it's you.
Yeah. Well,
you work from home mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Think about these people that are driving 100, 120 miles a day commuting.
Mm-mm.
And
Been there, done that.
And the gas has creeped down a little, but not much.
Not much. Nope. Their
But you
wages
don't-
haven't changed.
You can't budget for it because
You cannot.
what cost you $100 this week might cost you $150 next week. And most people don't have an extra 50. Just
Nope.
if you got a home and kids, and it's just not making any sense. And it's not meant to make sense. It's meant to make us nervous and scare us.
Absolutely. So, nine out of 10, and coming from an insurance background in the past, and again, anything that I say here are my own reflections and my own views. They're not views that, you know, I'm not expressing views of anybody else, but I will tell you that statistically speaking, I've read reports 9 out of 10 people can't afford their own home in this country. They can't
No.
afford home ownership, but a lot of people own homes. So it's more than just, paying your mortgage, it's the upkeep, which gets extremely expensive. Now you look at building costs that, have basically tripled or quadrupled, and
Yeah.
gas prices,
And
rates aren't changing.
people make the mistake of saying, "Oh, look, I can afford this mortgage payment."
Yeah.
Did you check your insurance,
Yeah. The insurance will go up, and
property
insurance is
tax?
absolutely your insurance. You need to have enough insurance on your home that in case your home is lost in some type of a covered, event or covered peril, as it's called, to be rebuilt.
Yes.
And with the rising costs of wood, of
Yeah.
materials, and we're experiencing a huge labor shortage in this area for a couple of different reasons. A, people don't want to work, which we know, and B, they just don't want to work in some of Arizona's conditions, so they may go somewhere else.
I was married to a claims adjuster for decades.
Then you know.
She did corporate insurance,
Yep, then you know.
and that's quite a racket.
It's a lot. So
And
Rhea
the
brings up
insurance companies have lobbied for some interesting tax laws.
Insurance is not as people say, rip off, rip off. Well, I could probably say that about some health insurance. And you could even say about home and auto and other things. But at the end of the day, do you know how much money goes to legal and legislation
You've
out
got
of
to have it.
Yep, because everybody's lawsuit happy. Everybody's looking to make that quick buck, and there's always going to be a lawyer out there waiting to take that case. They're going to do it.
I had a client that was he was a big shot tax lawyer, and we were talking one day, and I told him that my wife was an adjuster and stuff, and he says, "Here's something I bet she don't even know. Insurance company keeps funds
Yep.
set aside, and let's say you've got $1 million insurance policy
Mm-hmm.
on your whatever, liability.
Yeah.
Somebody
Sure.
gets hurt. Somebody gets hurt. The first thing they do is go to their fund.
Mm-hmm.
They pull $1 million out and put it into a fund set up for payments. That's $1 million loss.
Yep, that's a big loss.
They settle for $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
So they pay the $250,000. That's another loss.
Yep.
Even though it's the same funds they took out of this over here. Now they've got $750,000 left. They take it out of that fund, put it back into their reserve. That's another loss. Going back in is just a repayment
Mm-hmm.
on that account. But on the other account, it's a loss. So they took $2 million loss on a $250,000 claim. That's some pretty fancy bookkeeping. Don't you wish you could do that?
I'm always looking for ways to make money. I'm not sure that's going to be the one. So Rhea brings up a good point. We're going to buy our stuff from China until stuff made here is cheap. Well, some things, yes. And some
Part of
things,
the problem
no.
is we're not making stuff here.
That is part of the problem. We're buying it by default because we can't find. I mean, I get excited when I see "Made in the USA" tags on shirts. I'm like, oh, look at that. I mean, in the 80s, the whole fashion industry wound up going, overseas, and all the unions were eradicated, and and we complain about it, but we're supporting, basically in poverty level wages overseas.
I think Rhea's the only one watching this.
Which could be. You never know.
If you look You
Yep.
should see it
I see the
up
comments, but I don't see the.
in the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah.
You see where it says we've been live for 42 minutes.
Yes, I do.
And the eyeball tells you how many people are watching.
Okay.
If you put your mouse on it, it'll tell you how many are on YouTube and how many are on Facebook.
Oh, is that on the duck?
No, it's right. You may not have that. Right
I don't
next
have
to
the
where
eyeball.
it says live.
No.
You got the
No
you got
eyeball. Yeah.
no eyeball.
No eyeball. No.
I got an eyeball.
So you're the Cyclops in all of this.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
I also got a heart
No. That's
where
good.
somebody has
You're a
liked
Cyclops
us.
with a heart. Okay.
Somebody
good.
liked us.
That's good. Now I started looking at tags on things because some things I think have gotten so expensive, and I mean I'll just look at it and say, well, why am I going to pay all this money to know that it's going to fall apart?
Yeah. It looks nice
walk
when
away
you
and
get
do
it,
without.
but the
Yeah.
stitching's bad and
Oh yeah, you look at stitching, look at zippers. I mean, you can look and see the stitching is lined up. It could take $15-20 to get a zipper on something fixed. It depends on what it is. Let's just say
yeah.
a pair of jeans.
And when
What's
they sewed the sleeve on, did they actually have enough material there, or is it just going to pull
Absolutely.
apart?
Absolutely.
I know way
are those
too much
springs
about
coming out?
sewing.
Yeah. Well, I know enough after working years in retail, good versus poor quality. So, in certain areas of the world tend to just manufacture things, better or make things better and better. But
What?
that's right. I heard you hitting that drum. Yeah. Well, we don't have a lot of people on tonight because people are probably stuffing their faces and
Yes.
drinking until they fall over.
We don't usually get a lot of people watching a live.
Yeah.
If we get 9, 10 watching it live,
Yeah, it's our lucky day.
what you do is you go back and check.
Yeah.
The next day. And
so what are you eating tonight?
What am I eating tonight?
Yeah, anything special?
I think tip steak.
Okay. We're having ham tonight.
Yeah. And then tomorrow I'm smoking a chicken.
We're having prime rib tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm putting the chicken on the smoker. That don't take 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Chickens are easy. Pellet smoker I'm in love.
Yeah. It's supposed to be fantastic.
And I use the KISS method.
Keep it simple, silly.
Yeah, only I was taught it was stupid, but
okay. Well, I'm trying to avoid using that word because I've been using it way too much and I don't really like it. But if the shoe fits, just saying.
Yeah. Now you see how easy this is?
Easy peasy.
You're ready to start your own channel.
Oh my. Well, I don't even know what that would be about, I don't know what I would say.
I've got a helper.
You have one too?
Yeah.
I think I have one. I have 5. Aw, hi Pumpkin.
He says, "Put me down."
Yeah. Yeah, I've got one that's diving underneath Bill's desk right now.
Yeah. Usually it's the white one that wants to.
Yeah. Come here, little girl. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think we've even got Rhea anymore. I think we lost her.
We might have. Who's that, Savannah? Huh? Who's that?
It says 16 people have noticed us.
Yeah.
I had to go back over and look somewhere else.
Hello, yes.
But
this is her first Christmas, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
That means that she's getting ready to go into the terrible 2s.
She's already in them. It's too late. Yeah. She's not even a year old yet. She's just my little stinker.
I've got one and I thought she might outgrow that stage, but
yeah. So this one last night, go to the store, okay? Buy a pack of steaks, all right? Because we're having company tomorrow and he doesn't like prime rib. It's too fatty, so we got him a steak. I'm like, what's really the big difference? So bring in groceries. They're sitting on the floor last night, like 2 minutes at the most. And Yoo-hoo over here dives into the pack of steaks, just pulling out the plastic, pulling out the meat, just just little carnivore over here, just
Yeah.
chomping on a raw steak. Yeah,
You know, back
yeah.
back when I was in
Pepper's
the
right.
service, we had a little mutt. He could smell a McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
Hamburgers were a quarter.
Well, I kind of can't blame her in a way because that's dogs smell what they smell, but it was also our fault for not thinking about the fact that the little vulture could
And how fast they can move.
yes,
They're like a kid.
this is a child right here.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're
this
like
is a big
having another
child.
kid.
Yeah,
Only they never outgrow that.
yeah.
Well, I don't know anything. My mind wasn't right tonight.
I was laying around watching TV, and there we go. Pass it back to Daddy. Just laying around watching TV for a little bit tonight, and went out today. And I have to tell you, um, you're right about have we become a nation of good enough? I think that there are some things where maybe you don't have to take them all the way, but then there are some things that you do where you really should take it to that Lamborghini model or Rolls Royce or whatever you
Yes.
want to call it. Um, you know, um, it's kind of like are you going to half bake a chicken and have it be partially raw? No, there's too much risk involved. But some things, some goods, people are just happy with the way they are. Building a homes is one of them.
You
You have
know,
to wonder why all these builders get sued.
I don't. I'm- I believe in buying things that will last.
Yes, I
That don't
don't know if
mean it
everybody
has to.
believes that.
It don't have to be horribly expensive to do that.
No, not necessarily.
And I don't think we all need a Mercedes.
No, I've had them before. They're
Yeah,
expensive to repair.
yeah. I had a Saab that was
Yeah,
$500 for a tail light.
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
But you're right. Sometimes that Ford Escort's plenty.
It is absolutely,
It
and maybe that's
gets you.
all that you need.
It's got
You need it for the basics.
heat, air, a radio, and it goes.
Remember when
That's
air used to be optional in a vehicle?
yes. Oh yes.
So frightening. Yeah.
My dad remembers. He's still here when heaters were optional.
I believe it.
Windshield wipers were an option.
No.
So there's a
Re-
lot of
Ria still
things.
wants me to get a little electric car. Ria, my only fear with those, I've seen those rear-ended before, and for some reason, I tend to be a magnet for the uninsured, unlicensed motorists to rear-end me.
I,
It's a trend.
I,
So yeah, um,
I've seen Ria's car,
yeah,
and I had the Tri-Glide, the motorcycle.
yeah.
I was up at IGA one day, and when I came out, there was a smart car
Yeah, they're all over now.
parked right next to my Tri-Glide.
Okay.
Smart car seats too.
Yes.
Tri-Glide seats too. They were the same length.
Oh wow. I guess
And
I've never really I've been in Fiats before. Those are
Yeah.
pretty tiny.
if you looked
You
at
know.
the back, they were about the same width. I had more trunk space. And now I've got the Can-Am, and I've seen Ria's car. My Can-Am's bigger. I don't have air conditioning. I couldn't get that option, but but I have power steering and power assisted brakes. I got a good stereo.
Lexus puts out little cars. I know Fiat kind of made some type of a comeback with their vehicles. I've seen Toyota. I've seen all kinds of manufacturers out there for
Yeah.
different vehicles.
There's a lot of those Fiat 500s out.
There are a tremendous amount of them out there. And there's some really economical vehicles out there. But yeah, my only fear, and it would happen to me, is that I would Yeah, a tricked out golf cart. I like that. That's a good way to look at it. My fear is that I'm going to have somebody just run me down. I've already had people overpower me on the road out here. I've had, crazy maniacal, road rage. There's a
That's what,
reason I'm driving in a 19-foot SUV. You just don't know who's behind the wheel.
yeah, that's, I've threatened to put a push bumper on the front of my truck.
That would be kind of nice. So today, all right, if you caught me in traffic, speaking about good enough,
You see some interesting things.
yeah, like literally, I had to start clapping when one of the vehicles in front of me found the gas pedal.
Yeah,
Like there was so much space in front of them, just sitting. And I'm like, what are you waiting for? The light doesn't turn any greener than your Christmas tree.
yeah.
Just go.
It's
And
only
there was time lost. The light, I mean, so crowded today. People not using signals, everything else. But you know
right.
what? We've accepted that as good enough.
I made a lady in Maryland really mad one time.
I make a lot of people angry
I
because
stuck my head out and yelled, "That light's only going to turn one shade of green."
good for you. You were
Yeah.
probably a lot more polite than I've been. Coming from
Well, I,
Chicago, we have some very specific, you know, skills when it comes to driving.
I used all clean words.
Oh, you're a better human than I was
Not
then.
always.
So yeah, but there are some smaller cars I do like. I like the Mini Coopers. I'm a
Those are
former
cool.
Miata owner. I've owned Miatas, and I own a Miata, I should say, an RX-7. I've had all kinds of vehicles that are smaller and really really liked them. I had a Hyundai Veloster that I moved out here with, and that was a great car. But for protection on the road, especially with the flooding on the roads out here, that's what I need. So I do need the Cadillac
Yeah.
actually, or something like it.
I had my truck rear-ended
Uh oh.
back in the 90s.
Ooh.
And the body shop was also a rental place.
Oh, that's convenient.
And my rental allotment was, of course, back then you could rent something a lot cheaper than now.
Oh yeah, it's insane now.
But he come up and when I was filling out paperwork, he says, you're just commuting back and forth. He says, do you care what you drive? And I said, as long as it starts in the morning,
Exactly.
gets me to work, gets me home.
That's all that matters.
He said, how'd you like to make some money? I think it was like $24.95 my insurance would pay per day
Okay.
while my car was in the shop. He said, I got one that rents for $16.
There you go.
It was a Geo.
Those ran forever. Okay.
It was a
Geos and
little,
Saturns were like my jam. I'm like,
it
those
was a
are great
little
vehicles.
3-cylinder. And
Yep.
if it was just me in it, it zipped. It would flat go.
Yep.
I put another person my size in there, and it was like somebody had dropped an anchor out the back of the but for me going, and back in the early 70s, I had a Volkswagen, and I'd always cuss
Nice.
people that drove Volkswagens
Aw. Like
because they
Volkswagen.
rode right up on your butt,
They did? Okay.
and they would cut in and out of traffic in small holes. And I had that about a month, and I came home one day and I said, I'm one of those asshole Volkswagen people because you can almost see your front bumper.
Yeah.
So I rode close on people. I cut in and out. I could fit in a parking space nobody else could fit in.
I once had a Volkswagen Passat try and race me in a BMW 540i. 540i is an 8-cylinder. The Passat was not. And this is up in Chandler, Arizona. It was at night. And I just usually ignore that, but here's me driving alone. And I get some, nut pulling up next to me. It was like right off the 101 and revving his Passat engine. And I'm like, seriously? I mean, if you're going to try and contest me, but you could tell they were just waiting to go. They just wanted it. They were egging me on. So finally, I'm like, all right, I guess tonight I'll play. All I had to do was just stomp on that 540i, and boom, that 8 cylinders just left them in my BMW dust. Now that's a performance vehicle. It was a great, great car, and
Some of those old cars were a lot of fun.
they were. Unfortunately, I had, and he will remain nameless, and it's not my husband. This is a distant ex-boyfriend who actually destroyed my car. So may he rest in his own peace.
I,
But yeah,
I,
he trashed my
I,
car.
I just found out I could do something I didn't know I could do.
Uh-oh. Did you turn me into a princess?
Yes.
Thank you. What can I say?
I had no idea I could do that.
Yeah. Rhea had a VW Bug. I love those. So, you had an Edsel? I would love one. Oh my gosh. You know what? I would give anything for one of those older cars. I mean, we've looked at them. We've looked at all of the tricked out
Studebaker.
trucks, and oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Had a Studebaker.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I look for those. If I had my way, I would probably you know what? Have we become a nation of good enough? Let me tell you something. My good enough it will beat most people's good enough, because my good enough is like, it's up there. I would have a whole fleet of cars, collectible cars, if I could, but it's getting a little expensive.
Yeah,
So
it's
can't do
getting a
it.
lot of. My first one that I bought off a car lot. It was a 1954 Chevy Bel Air,
Oh, nice.
2-door hardtop. Of course, that was a 6-cylinder. There was enough real chrome in that thing. It probably weighed more than most cars do now, just with the chrome.
That's what I'm talking about.
I paid $250 for that car.
God.
I saw one that looked just like it listed the other day. They wanted $25,000.
I believe it. I believe it. I've seen them out there.
And the sad part is, if I'd had $25,000 to just piss
Throw
away,
around. Yeah. You go get it.
I loved that car. So
Yeah. Well, you can find them out there in these little barn sales, but you know what? Things aren't made the way they used to be. We
No.
are a nation of consumption. We are a nation of, I have to have it now, and give it to me now, no matter what it takes. We are a nation that has given up our privacy. We have given up a lot of our inherent rights to get the things that we want, and people don't always realize that there's a trade-off to every single decision that you make. Even if you say, I'm not making a decision, not making a decision is still deciding to not make that decision.
Yeah.
So we are in a nation where, where it spills into is work. And with work, some people say, you know what? I'm just going to do enough to just get by.
just so I don't lose my job.
Right. So I don't lose my job. I know what the rules are. I know how to fly under the radar just enough to get by, and nobody's going to care. And oops, if I made a mistake, and everybody makes mistakes. Oh my gosh, I make mistakes all the time.
Gotcha.
But you learn from them. You learn from them. And if you're not alert enough to do that, you're staggering. It's going to come around and at the end of the day, and it's going to get you.
Well, it's going to catch up. It's catching up to us now.
Sure is. Yeah.
If somebody bought a refrigerator back when I was a kid, an old Frigidaire,
it would still be around.
Probably still running.
Yeah.
They just got tired of it looking like that, and they went and got an autumn gold.
I was going to say Harvest Gold, the old Harvest Gold refrigerator.
Yes.
They
or
run.
The avocado green.
Oh, those are the best.
With
Do you know how much
carpet.
those are worth now? Do you know how much all of that is worth now?
But they worked.
Yes, they worked very well for many, many years.
They would outlast some of the owners.
Yeah, I know some refrigerators that have outlasted their owners. Same thing with washing machines.
And now it's a disposable society.
Very much so. We asked for it. We got it. That's
You
how we
pay
became the nation of good enough.
you
We were
pay 10
willing.
times as much for something that'll last 1/10 as long.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Lowered standards.
Yeah, we just. But you're right. Everybody wants it now.
Of course they do. It's FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah, they
You
want
know,
it.
absolutely. It's instant
You,
gratification.
and we buy stuff knowing it's not going to last,
Hmm.
and we go in debt to get it.
Absolutely. I remember back in the days when I was still able to, actually go out and have fun and party. And we used to buy the crappiest clothing. We knew it would fall apart,
Oh yeah,
but we just needed it for a few episodes at the bar. And then, we'd wash it until it would fall apart or you'd throw it out. It wasn't worth anything. Those are still some of the most popular stores out there for youth nowadays,
yeah. But
but it doesn't last.
that shirt you paid $6 for now costs 50,
It's totally different world. Yep.
and it's still going to fall apart. If you get 10 washings out of it, you're doing good.
Yeah. Well, and there's, especially with the economy right now, because of all the supply chain nonsense that's going on, a lot of people have gone back to resold goods. So
Yes.
going back to a secondary market, which this is a secondary, market household, we thrive on it. There are a few
So,
things I will buy brand new, but some things, no way.
well, I want my underwear to be new. But
Exactly. Underwear, mattresses, yeah, like, the stuff that would kind of creep you out. Yeah, yeah.
well,
But I'll tell you what, you can buy.
I'm a huge fan of refurbished.
Yes, we are too.
Something
Refurb works. Yep.
something broke, they got it replaced,
Yep.
and it was fixed.
The only bad experience I had with that was with Roku's, refurbished Roku's. Those never seemed to work out for me. They broke like that.
I've got 2 iMacs that are
Yep.
refurbs.
Yep.
I used to, when I was still doing Windows, Dell's refurbished stuff that went back on warranty. They
Yep.
fixed it.
I remember the deals were great.
You'd buy it for 2/3 the cost or half the cost and still get a factory warranty.
Yep.
And you can do that with Apple now.
Yes, you can.
They've got a refurb department. So I've got 2 used Macs, a refurbed iMac, 2 refurbed iMacs, and I've got a refurbed iPad Pro. And this laptop I actually bought new.
Yeah.
This
There are
is
some things you can get new and some,
yeah,
so when we talk about have we become a nation of good enough? Well, I think good enough, everybody defines their own good enough. I know that what's good enough for me may or may not be good enough for someone
yeah.
else.
The
It's all
soundboard
relative,
I've got out in the dungeon. I was able to get that with that little grant from
which is wonderful.
the Moose.
That's awesome.
And the reason I could do that was it was a display model.
Nice.
So
Nice. Nothing
they
wrong with
knocked
that.
they knocked $100 off of it.
And sometimes it's just aesthetics. I mean, if it's something that runs really well but has a couple of scratches and dings, and we have a refrigerator like that. It was a brand new refrigerator, had a dent in it. Who cares?
This one was, I would say, we could call it open box.
Hmm.
I don't think anybody did anything with it. There was no marks. It didn't look like anything had
Yeah.
ever been plugged into it. But it was one they took out of the box and put on display in the store.
Well, for some people, if it's not the latest model, boom, they have to get the next thing. Some people have a legitimate purpose for that. Other people, they just have to have what's the latest. It's a bragging piece.
For 30 years I did that because I sold computers.
Right.
And I would get the latest, greatest, build it, put it on my desk. I would use it as a display and demo. 6 months later, I'd wipe that one, reload it, and sell it as a demo. And the money I got off that, I'd build a new one.
Yep.
So I always had cutting edge.
Right.
And now I don't need it. I'm
Right.
quite happy with my late 2013 iMac.
It works. It works.
And that one I fell into because I bought it through Backwater.
Okay.
And somebody had screwed up the listing. They have good, fair, and excellent. This one was listed as excellent, and it was cheaper than the good and the fair by a bunch. And I looked at that, and I looked at the actual sellers' reviews. Everything was wonderful. So I ordered it. The next day, it went up by $200.
Yikes.
They had screwed up the listing, but they honored it. So
we are a society of, and we're all guilty of it, of an insane amount of consumption. I can't tell you from a resale perspective how much Bill and I see people get rid of things that are worth an exorbitant amount of money for free.
yes.
So I look for those opportunities because
When-
those are opportunities for me to maximize.
Linda's a lover of goodwill,
Yeah, you're talking our language.
secondhand shops.
Yes.
And after I got out of the computer business, I actually ran a secondhand shop for a while.
Nice.
Just something to do. Before salvage wars and all that crap.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I would buy storage units.
Those are fun.
And I never lost money on one. I didn't always make any money,
Right.
But
It all evens out.
But you could buy one back then in my area for $300, $200. And there was one that was just jammed full. And of course, you can't go in and look and everything.
Right. It's kind of like the mystery gift box.
I paid the most I'd ever paid for a storage unit. Because what I could see looked like new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I gave $550 for that. I sold one item out of there that brought $1,500.
Yep.
This
That's all you need.
was a lady, and she had passed away, and her daughter had paid rental on the storage unit until she passed away. And none of the grandkids wanted it. This lady got involved in the Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, when they were first starting in Kansas City. She went to all the galas. They flew her to games. She had pennants from the first.
That's the memorabilia right there.
Yeah. The first series, she had pennants from that. She had gowns and shoes. Purple lady. Everything was purple.
Ooh, woman after my own heart.
But there were shoes where she never walked on the ground with them.
Yep.
And she wore them once, and they went in the closet.
I'm selling some of those right now.
And she had formals
Mm-hmm.
that had been worn once. She had letters from the Chiefs. She had letters from, and there was this one raggedy looking doll. Had a porcelain head,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was just cotton.
Mm-hmm. Antique.
Obviously, it had clothes, but there weren't any clothes on it. It was ugly. And as we were cleaning stuff out of that shed, I started to throw that in the dumpster. And this old gal that worked with me said, let's just put it on eBay and see what it does.
Mm-hmm.
$1,200.
Yep. Collectible.
Shipped it to Japan.
Yep. Collectible.
The the first football series. We had stuff from that. We put a pennant up, and the guy says, "I'll for bid," and the guy's contacted us, said, "I'll give you 500 cash for it now." And we said, I think we'll just let it bid out.
Mm-hmm.
We made a whole lot more than
Oh,
500.
that's exactly how that works.
But this was a gold mine. And I was just sick. I spent that much money buying it.
Well, truly, talking about, are we a nation of good enough? I'm going back to those times where things were quality of excellence.
Yes.
I'd rather have some of that than the stuff that's out there nowadays. Certain items, certain pieces of clothing, certain shoes, bags, certain electronics. I don't know. There's certain things were just made better. They
And
lasted longer. They had
I got
longevity.
no problem buying used.
Nope. Neither do I. And yeah, neither do I. Well, you know what? Speaking of, are we in a nation of good enough? I'm not going to be good enough if I don't eat some ham.
Yeah, I've got to get out of here.
Yes. So
Would-
happy holidays to all of our fun listeners, and we should have some more music coming not through Facebook, but on the 97.3, right?
Yeah.
QRAZ.
Yeah, after
coming up in the new
Christmas,
year.
we're making some changes.
Yeah. Are we getting rid of the Christmas music, please?
God, yes.
Ugh.
I don't hate Christmas music, but I can only handle it for so long.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a big like Mariah Carey person, No offense to her, but
Yeah.
she's not like my picture of holiday music. I'm more like, Bing Crosby or
Actually,
I don't know.
I got this.
I hope you got it for free.
No, it's really cheap.
Okay.
There's 70 some songs on here, and it goes from rap to rock to old time.
Oh, okay.
It just jumps all over. So let's wind this thing up. We'll
Yeah, well,
thank
Merry
Rhea
Christmas.
for being our only
Yes, hi.
audience.
Rhea, thank you. Merry Christmas.
She was our only audience tonight.
Yeah. Well, she's diehard. Not to, confuse that with the movie, but she's diehard.
And she's one of the few that actually listens to the radio station
Wow.
that I know of.
I love it too. Well, more music will be coming out in the new year. I know I've got some plans, some ideas.
I've been playing with a few things, but I haven't done them yet.
Yeah. I wanted to do more. I wanted to do more this week. But I'll tell you what, this weather switch, the worst headache all week.
That's not good.
No. Plus, I canceled my flight to go back to Illinois. I'm glad I did. You know why? Speaking of a nation of good enough,
I see they're
I'm
canceling
sorry.
flights again.
Yes, and I had a feeling it was going to happen. I pay for a flight minus, horrible weather or a major mechanical breakdown. I expect to fly.
Yes.
I expect to fly. I also expect to be back for work on time.
Yeah.
So-
Linda got caught in that last summer with the so-called weather delays.
Yeah. Any excuses that come about because of it, to me, are unacceptable. All right. It's unacceptable. Telling me that my vehicle will be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's 2 weeks from now, unless there's something dramatic that's happened, which you have to be open to that.
And
Is
sometimes
unacceptable.
when you
It's
start, you
unacceptable.
find things and go, oh,
Right. But with the flights going on right now, you pay all that money, you can have safety and customer service. That's the one thing I will argue that industry on until the end of time. You don't have to be a jerk.
don't
You can
lie
be-
to people.
Don't be a jerk. And that's my problem with flying. You go through the TSA line, they smash your things around, they're rude. There's no reason to be rude. You get a lot more flies with, honey than you do with vinegar, but nobody's thinking that through. And everybody's using loopholes now. And we're accepting it. We say, "Oh, that's okay. That's okay."
Makes me think you
Time to
got to
call me
vote
back,
for
man.
it to find out what's in it.
That's right.
Okay.
You got to fight for your right to party.
I'm going to kill this off here.
Beastie Boys. Merry
You,
Christmas.
you have a great weekend.
Hey, you too. We'll see you sooner than later. Say hi to Linda.
I will.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas to you. Adios.
That's adios. Bye.